close your eyes and forget everything you were taught about the beginning. Forget the green trees of Eden. Forget the soft soil and the mist that rose from the earth. Before the dust of Adam was ever gathered into a human shape, before the first breath was ever drawn, there was another place. A world not of wood and water, but of blinding, crystalline fire. Imagine a forest where the leaves are shards of sapphire, where the mountains aren't made of rock, but of burning, living coals that roar with the music of the stars. The Bible calls it the Holy Mountain of God. But there is a reason this place is missing from your Sunday school maps. It is the site of the first betrayal, the first war, and the greatest secret God ever kept from the man of clay. Why was this mineral Eden wiped from the face of reality? And what lies buried beneath the soil of the world we walk today? We've been conditioned to believe that Genesis 1:1 was the absolute start of the story. But if you look closely at the cracks in the ancient texts, a different picture emerges. The prophet Ezekiel provides a terrifying, beautiful glimpse into a world that predates humanity. He speaks to a being, a guardian, who was in Eden, the garden of God. But look at the description. This isn't the lush, organic garden of Adam. Ezekiel describes a landscape of every precious stone: sardius, topaz, diamond, beryl, onyx, jasper, sapphire, emerald, and carbuncle. This was a mineral Eden, a cathedral of light and reflection. There was no rain here, only the radiance of the divine. No animals to name, only timbrels and pipes built into the very skin of the creatures who lived there. It was a high-tech, high-spirit headquarters for the entire universe. But here is the first clue to our puzzle. If this place was the pinnacle of creation, why did it have to be destroyed before we arrived? Think about the sensory experience of this other garden. The Bible mentions the stones of fire. Imagine mountains that glow like the heart of a nuclear furnace, yet they do not consume. You aren't just looking at beauty, you are looking at raw, unshielded power. The being who walked here, the anointed cherub, didn't just reside in the garden, he was the architect and its sentinel. He walked up and down in the midst of these fiery stones, his body reflecting the light of 1,000,000,000 diamonds. But there was a boundary, a secret at the center of this jeweled garden that was never intended for him. An open loop in the fabric of existence that this guardian became obsessed with. He began to look past the sapphire trees. He began to look at the throne itself. He realized that while he was a reflection of the light, he was not the source. And in that moment of realization, the mineral Eden began to crack. The silence in that garden must have been deafening. Imagine the music of the pipes, the literal melody built into the guardian's being, starting to play a discordant note. Pride wasn't a whisper here, it was a cosmic vibration that shook the crystalline foundations of the mountain. This guardian, whom we now call Lucifer, saw the blueprint of what was to come. He saw the plan for a creature of dust, Adam, who would one day inherit a kingdom. The guardian of the fire looked at the creature of the mud and felt a rage that scorched the jewels of the garden. He didn't just want to be like God, he wanted to ensure that the second garden would never happen. But he underestimated the cost of treason in a world made of pure light. But here is where everything we thought we knew about the fall takes a dark, staggering turn. We've been told that Satan was cast into a fiery pit in the center of the earth, but the scriptures suggest something much more haunting. He wasn't just thrown down, he was defiled and cast out of the mountain. The other garden didn't just lose its protector, it became the first casualty of war. The plot twist? The first hell wasn't a separate dimension of sulfur, it was the wreckage of the first Eden. God didn't just evict the rebel, he extinguished the stones of fire. He took that magnificent mineral world and shattered it. He buried the sapphire forests under trillions of tons of dark, cold water and suffocating rock. When Genesis 1:2 says the earth was without form and void, it isn't describing a fresh canvas, it is describing a crime scene. A graveyard of a civilization that fell before time began. We are literally living on top of the ruins of a kingdom we were never supposed to see. Imagine the transition. One moment, the universe is filled with the hum of the jeweled mountain. The next, there is only the void, the tohu wa bohu, the Hebrew words for chaos so profound it feels like a scream in total darkness. The sapphire trees are now jagged glass, buried miles beneath the crust. The burning coals are now cold, black carbon, what we now call coal and oil. Can you feel the weight of it? Every time we drill into the earth for fuel, we are touching the decomposed remains of the other garden. We are burning the ghosts of a paradise that failed. When God began to fashion the Garden of Adam, he was building a safety zone. He covered the wreckage with soil. He covered the darkness with a new, softer light. He gave Adam a garden of life to hide the memory of the garden of fire. Why did God keep this secret from Adam? Because Adam was fragile. He was made of the very dust that covered the old ruins. If Adam had known he was walking on the graveyard of the most powerful being ever created, he would have lived in a state of perpetual terror. God gave Adam a simplified reality, a buffer, but the shadow that the first Eden remained. The serpent didn't just wander into the new Garden of Eden by chance. He was a trespasser, returning to his old crime scene. When he spoke to Eve, he wasn't just tempting her with fruit. He was attempting to reclaim the mountain that had been taken from him. He saw the clay man enjoying a peace he had forfeited, and his goal was to turn the second garden into a graveyard, just like the first. The other garden is the missing chapter in the biography of our planet. It tells us that we are not the first, and we are not the most powerful. We are the second chance. We live in a reconstructed house, built over a shattered palace of jewels, but there is a haunting promise at the very end of the story. In the book of Revelation, we see a new Jerusalem descending. Look at its walls, look at its foundations. Sapphire, emerald, gold. It looks exactly like the garden Ezekiel described. God isn't just taking us to a new home. He is restoring the fire. He is digging up the jewels of the first Eden and giving them to the children of the second. The secret is out. The mountain is coming back. And this time, the guardian will be the king himself. Watch the ground beneath you. The stones are beginning to remember the light.